whatever milestones that Black people make against hate, it ends up benefiting all the other people of color. I can't see what his end game is. The Republican Party is the party of racism, is the party of white supremacy, is the party of hate. This is wrong, and it needs to stop.
Everybody wants to go back and drag that piece of history up, but they don't want to go back and deal with what their ancestors did to the indigenous people and to Black people in this country. You got to go. And you got billionaires talking about going to space and Jeff Bezos, go, never come back. I hope you get lost. This man has lost his mind.
Boom! Come on, girlfriend. What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. And I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And part of that collaboration last year, reached out directly and indirectly to over 100,000 fathers around the world, directly and indirectly. And as always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. We're broadcasting on November 5th, and it's been a warm, windy day here in Toronto. And for those who are watching live, do your clocks go back tomorrow morning? I hope if it does or it doesn't, make sure you do that, because you don't want to mess yourself up and get all your I don't know, clock tree messed up. I don't know what the word term. I'm looking for some sort of term, but I don't know which term I'm looking for. But you know what? Before I mess myself up, let's get these ladies to mess you up. So it's time to bring, and I think they all like that introduction. We've got Aisha, we've got Jill, we've got LaLa. They are here with us, and LaLa's back in town.
Yes.
Yay, 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 yay.
I am so tickled to be home. It's just something about home. The hugs, the memories, the everything, just riding around your own city from when you've been gone for so long just brings back great memories. And it's always nice to get hugs. I'm a hugger.
Oh, that's nice.
So where is home?
Kentucky, Louisville, Kentucky.
Louisville.
Louisville.
Yes.
Do you feel safer?
Louisville.
How do you feel in Louisville compared to FLA?
You know what? Florida, thank you, Lord Jesus, I'm out of there. I didn't like to go out because the Bubba trucks and all the racism and the flags and stuff, I was like, I got to go.
Wow.
I cannot stay down here. My mouth is going to get me in trouble because as I get a little older, I can't shut it up. I will say something to you,
Yes.
And I didn't have any problem in California. Let me take that back. Only in Orange County.
Yes.
There was one time when I had a friend in LA where I went to Beverly Hills to show her around, and there was a Trump rally, and that's the only time I felt unsafe in LA.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. Same for me.
So what's been going on? LaLa's moved. What's been going on in the world of Aisha and Jill?
Work.
Work.
That's it.
Work. Okay.
Not for me. I'm getting ready for, holidays and getting into that vibe.
Thanksgiving's come up in the U.S.
The election
Yes.
to vote.
Oh, boys. We're going to
And I did leave my ballot. I voted. So
I messed up on my ballot, so I actually have to go in now because I did sign something in the wrong place, and it's just too many times I did it. So I was like, oh, these better roll up in there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to go through it because there were a lot of different districts that merged. And I was like, why is this woman? Because we have a woman from Silver Lake with like Burbank area. And, that was just like throwing me like there's Adam Schiff. And it's like, okay, my God. All right. What do you do? So that was a lot. And also the mayor race, I'm just out. I don't even know what to say.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't know what to even say about all of that because there's a part of me that really likes Karen Bass because she is very realistic about what can be done. But I think as a voter, you kind of want to go with, can you perk it up a little bit here? Because it's sounding really bad, girl. Like, it's sounding like, damn, I don't know if I can get homelessness together in 4 years, is what she said. And I was like, well,
but it was
you don't have to sit.
It's
I know.
truthful.
She
It's
didn't have to
truthful.
say it, girl.
And the problem
no.
didn't, it took more than 4 years to become a problem. Can't
True.
undo
And
it.
that's because of Gil Cedillo. And I'm telling you, I will say I had a very hard time because I didn't want to vote for any Hispanic people on the ballots. And it's not because I'm biased or racist, but it really was a big FU to the LA City Council for what they did. And they kept Kevin LeBron on, and they kept Gil Cedillo on.
Yeah, they haven't resigned, have
and
they?
the woman had to take the fall. Granted, she said some really messed up stuff, but they all were in, the fact that they kept their mouths, and we don't even know what part they goaded her on, maybe before it even started. We don't know what they said, but as far as I'm concerned, no one admonished each other in that conversation. So they're all guilty for me. And so that was something that I was like, you know what? I sent a email to LA City Council, and I was like, you need to know that if it wasn't so crucial with where we are as a democracy, I would have done that, because, the Democratic Party failed to step in, and they need to step the fuck in and go, wouldn't that be, what's his name? Jamie Cornbread. What's his name over in what is it?
Oh, Jamie Harrison.
Okay. He's actually been, in my opinion, I don't know what he does. I don't want to say he's useless, but what the hell does he do?
But the DNC people are very ineffective, because the person before him, whatever his name was just as ineffective.
Mm-hmm. Well, they need to snap out of it, because this was kind of bad. It was just like, I wouldn't vote for any of you. There are judges who are Hispanic women, Latina. And I was like, you know what? I don't know if I want to do this, because after this collusion of seeing how they were trying to railroad Black people, why would I give a group that was doing that any more power to do it? So I'm still not sure what I'm going to do. Maybe it was sort of a blessing or a weird twist of fate that my ballot, that I messed up on it so much and I have to go in now in person, because I'm still not settled with that. And it's caused me to really go and look at more candidates, particularly for the judge stuff, because, also they're just spewing a bunch of platitudes. One can't do shit if the other one can't get the other shit together. So that's they may have all the best intentions in the world, but we know that our judicial system is just a turd waiting to sink any day. Okay. It's terrible.
Well, my daughter gets to vote for the first time.
This
go around. So
okay. Well, we will get to the election. As you see, it was already on fire. We're talking. We didn't even get.
Sorry. Yeah.
No. It's okay. It's okay. It's all right. I just want the shout outs are in. Almighty Baby says, "Hey everyone, it's Jen. Hope you're doing well."
Hey Jen, hope you're well.
Wig Maniac says the gang's all here. Yeah, the gang is all here. Yes. Absolutely. Let's see. And Black Beauty says, absolutely, Jill. I'm lost for words as well.
Yeah.
About that situation with the LA thing, I'm not cool with that.
I'm not.
It just seemed to just flee too fast. But I don't know if we're gonna do it this time. Maybe we'll do it next week. The talk about what is the relation between Latino Americans and African Americans.
Yeah.
Afro Latinos talk all the time about the colorism issue, and how non-Black Hispanics treat them.
Yeah. I've seen it in bodegas in New York. I've seen it living in very many places in the world. There is a big racial divide between Latin Hispanics of color versus, of not color. I had a friend who his parents back in Cuba, and this is where a lot of this centric, really weirdness, colorism starts too. But one of his parents was dark and one of his parents was light. And his mother was light, and she married a dark Cuban, and broke their family up. She basically became adrift, and it was like people perpetrated this whole belief system. I do believe that when you see it across the world, it's from colonialism. It's from the Jesuits. It's from everybody bringing their religions everywhere, and that whole concept that Black people are the descendants of Ham. Which is, it's like, good God, get over this. I mean, they're like, well, he raped his dad. And it's like, oh. And you're not going to say anything about the simple fact that with this whole Noah's Ark thing, that everybody had to mate with each other. Like, come on. I mean, I'm sorry. It's 2022 and let's just stop it. We've done all the myths is what I'm talking about. Yep. Look what it's done to us. Some people, their brains are rotten. It's like they've been in the ground forever and worms have gotten in there.
Well, talk about controversy and races. In the news this week, a gentleman named Kryie Irving has had some lots of fun about some of his thoughts and opinions. And for those who haven't been paying attention, actually, Kyrie Irving is interesting because this is the second time in 2 years he's made news off the court, so to speak. He's a very talented basketball player, graduated from Duke. Well, didn't graduate, left Duke University after 1 year to go to the pros.
He should have stayed in school, got an education.
And then he's now ended up with the New York Nets. Last year, he refused to get vaccinated, and he was basically he couldn't play with the Nets when New York, because New York had basically said if you're going to play in New York, you have to get vaccinated. Now, a week or two ago, he tweeted a link about I don't know if it's a documentary or a film on Amazon, and in the film there is, some people say, comments of anti-Semitic nature, and Kyrie put out this tweet, and he's basically saying, I don't apologize, this and that. He ended up eventually apologizing via Instagram, but he got suspended for 5 games by his team, and Adam Silver, the head of the NBA, wants to meet with him, this, etc. So, ladies, what are your thoughts on this story?
I think it's kind of ridiculous that they suspended him because he would not apologize. You should have suspended him right after the tweet, because just saying I apologize doesn't mean anything. People speak and say things all the time that they don't mean. If he didn't walk it back when he first did it, he doesn't mean the apology. So you should have suspended him anyway. Because the justification, when I was reading that, someone from the NBA is like, well, because he didn't apologize, we suspended him. But you couldn't suspend him because he did it. So it
starts hurting people's wallets. That's when the apologies come.
Exactly.
That's the only reason anybody issues an apology, and it's never sincere and it's never genuine. So I'm sick of the crocodile tears. You said what you said, you meant what you said, you did what you did. So now let's see back how many people are going to punish me before I have to come out and say I'm sorry. So I don't feel sorry for him at all. And actually, at one point he said, I stand on truth. Well, whose truth? Yours? And at whose expenses are you doing this to? You cannot expect people to also be allies with us if you don't stand in alliance with them as well. And the Jewish population is very, very powerful. And they've got to know this from seeing things and hearing things before this. Watch your mouth and be very careful what you say to others, and then expect them to turn around and do something for you. It's not acceptable. And what he did hurt communities, and he should be punished for it. But he should have been punished at the right time. I'm with Aisha. Don't wait till it starts hitting your pocket.
And it doesn't matter to him hitting the pockets, because remember, he was firm on that COVID thing. They and then they remember, because they started him play in New York, and then they just suspended him from all the games.
I think a lot also had to
Jill's yawning. And Aisha has her finger in her mouth. Jill, when you yawn, that is a very interesting indicator of what you think about this story.
I think that Kyrie does not understand, when he owns his own basketball players and his teams and whatever, I mean, when he's nothing more than the help on the team, he forgot his place and who he is. And then it's kind of like the slave who ran halfway to the fence and decided not to go the whole way. Because if you feel that way, then why are you working for the man? Most of these owners are Jewish. And if they aren't, they have respect for each other and they've all gone to the same universities and they're all friends and they do business together. That in itself is beyond the, let's forget that. Let's deal with just the nepotism. You don't, but to go and cite an ideology, which is from the Black Israelites, who are the most, offensive group of people in New York, and you just are assaulted if you're a fair-skinned person walking down the street. And they don't know me, but I've been verbally attacked by them before. So I don't respect it. And I think it's disgusting because, first of all, it's not true. And secondly, if it was, then why you got to be so mean why are you just mean and hate-filled? That doesn't do anything for me. I think I've had enough of this. He basically, there's a film that's come out and it's all wrong. It's called Negroes to Hebrews or Hebrews. And that's what Kyrie, it's like this dude just went home one night after playing a game and watched this movie. And there's nothing worse than some illiterate coming back and just like a little parrot saying it. And it's like, these were quotes that people attributed to Adolf Hitler, saying that the black people were, they actually think Hitler gave a Hitler played a really interesting game with black people when if he didn't kill them immediately on the spot, he didn't even take up space. He didn't even let a black person take up space in his place unless they were going to do studies on black people who were taken over there. Like monkeys, like chimps. It was like rats. It was to study. And people who got out, but almost every single one that went in were sterilized and not allowed to have children anymore. And so for that, and then to see black people parroting, it's so as a black person. And then this guy makes how many millions of dollars a year? And I'm like, you should just be fired for being so stupid.
Yeah. Like, how do you not know about Hitler not going at the Olympics, not going to the track meet because Jesse Owens was running, and then the boxer, remember our boxer was black and beat the German boxer
out of theirs.
And he was livid.
No, they've siloed these stories. It's like compartmentalized it and been like whole day together. Okay, don't use breakfast time and dinner time as different times. It's the same. How is one thing going to be the same? It's like, it is so weird. It's like, it's not the same. You wipe it with one hand versus the other. You know what I mean? It's like, well, it's a different in my right hand versus my left. That's how these guys are thinking. And I got to say, jocks are boneheads. They always were. Sorry to fill the stereotype. They were never that smart. We all knew it when we were going to school, and we did the studying, and they got away with getting through college without studying. And it's showing now. So can we stop telling them that they're intelligent? And can we stop telling Kanye he's intelligent because he knows how to keyboard? I've seen cats now that do just the same and have hit records out. You know what song has been stuck in my head is that little voice. It's cold. Beautiful thing. It's cold. I can't get that song out of my head. It is so freaking hooky. I hope that kid makes a ton of money. And to be honest with you, that Korn song should be nominated for the Grammys because it it's time. They need to open the gates on that. Open it up, because that little boy deserves a Grammy, and the guys who did the music. Sorry, just to
look,
go
if
in.
they let
It's a
people
whole different
YouTube streams count on Billboard so that you have a certain artist have the top 10 singles that are just because their fans sit with their
artists.
laptops.
Which one are you going to say? Taylor Swift, who actually surprised me that this girl who thinks she's so fair and unbiased, she can live with herself with this. This is a stream. This is nothing to do. These people can sleep at night. This isn't legitimate. It's not real how you got all your top 10s. It's not real. It's no different than, would you guys call somebody and have everybody in phones in like Taiwan? You know, it's really ridiculous. And what's really crazy is how the audacity, the caucasity to sit up and try to play like something is like, you know, organically holistic. The corn song was, though. It just became viral because it is a heater. It's got like a hook and everything. So sorry. Anyway, and it stays in your head like an earworm.
All day.
All day. And I'm like,
all day.
And I go, it's cold. I
haven't heard it.
I've never heard the song.
Beautiful thing. It's this little boy.
I've never heard it. I've never heard it.
It started where this little kid was talking about having some corn, and it's a conversation. And then two other kids, probably from the Berkeley School of Music, right, went together and went, huh? And this little African-American boy specifically was like, I never had corn before. And so they took corn. And so it goes, it's corn. And they took it and put a little bit of the auto-tune on him. And it is a heater.
Adorable. I love it.
It is.
I absolutely love it.
If you hear it, you will walk through your house and you will hum it, and you will actually start going, get out of my head. Get out of my freaking head.
And don't eat corn, because like we had corn today and it was all in my head.
So getting back to
Kyrie's an idiot. He's sad.
So let me ask.
Wait, can I just ask one quick question? Did Kyrie make his apology? Was this before or after Kanye West said that he was Robert Kardashian living?
I don't know.
Did you all know that?
I don't know.
He said he was the living Robert Kardashian.
I don't know. I don't know. Should Amazon have any blame in this since they put out this content on their platform?
Sure. I believe so, because they're just as responsible. Now, I know someone came out and made sense and was like, listen, he wasn't in the documentary. He didn't create the documentary. But it's true. I think media outlets also need to be responsible for the content that they're putting out, period.
Wasn't that like Bill Maher?
The reason Amazon gets away with it is because they're considered a marketplace, not a media outlet.
It's true. Okay. And didn't Bill Maher just like stumble into the room today feeling all bad, like, yeah, free speech, I mean, there's some accountability and consequences. It's like, Bill, did they kick you out of the strip clubs again? You know really?
What I tweeted yesterday, free speech is not free. Hate speech is not free speech, because somebody pays for it.
Yes.
In blood. Somebody pays for it.
Yes.
So true. And nothing is free in life. Don't we all know that?
Mm-hmm.
True.
You might not pay for it, but somebody's paying for your hate speech.
All right. Okay, let's move on. The January 6th committee extends 45's deadlines. You wanted to talk about this one, Aisha? Go for it.
Weak. I was so mad when I'm like, wait a second. Then what was the point in having the deadline? I understand the rationale was to wait a week because they don't want to appear biased with the election coming up Tuesday. But no, this was already in the works.
Who do they not want to appear biased to?
People are thinking you're biased anyway, so it's not going to change.
Exactly. Their people aren't changing their tune and going, oh, are they not biased? Oh, okay. Please, they still miss the mark. Like, they don't care what you think.
Right. And what are you going to do next week when he announces he's running for president again? Kick it down the road, till December? You don't have.
That's why I'm a little cautious on my voting. Anything can happen by Monday. I'll be honest.
Like they have time, though. It's like, no.
Yeah, but why? What is the underlying behind there's always something behind the decision. What is it? There is something nasty. There is something dirty and ugly and tar pity behind this that we don't know. Why are you not doing what needs to be done? If this was anybody else, they would have hung them up by strings, by the toes.
Democrats have a souffle. They're given a souffle, and it takes them 5 hours to walk into to the point where by the time it gets there, it's sunk, it's over, it's done, it's not even a show. Talk about an anticlimactic group that does not know how to perform, seize the day, get on top of it. I mean, first of all, that January 6th thing, some of those people, it's like, really? You need to, I don't even know what to say, because at some point, everybody in their gas masks and everything, but they just haven't had the right ilk in there. Because there would have been, if there were the right kind of Democrats in there, that would have been a whole different turnout. I can tell you that.
Votes. They're trying. Here we go again. Democrats trying to pander to so-called independents and undecided voters, which I do not believe there are independents. I don't believe there are undecided voters at this point. Independents either lean left or right. So let's cut the BS here. I think that Democrats won't be motivated to come out and vote for the Congress. Why? Because you've proven ineffective.
Yeah.
And so, you're worried about offending Republicans. Well, they offend us all the damn time.
All the time.
Why do you care?
Step up to the plate and please hit a home run, because you keep missing the mark.
It's like they're trying to learn how to play, to do tantric sex, and can't figure out, okay, it's just going on too long now. It's like, okay, let's hit a home run here. This has gone on way too long. And if anybody has ever experienced that, that's in itself is like, okay, look, I got laundry to do. I got a lot of today. Get it going. Move on.
Where do you get Jill Jones? Where do you get your analogies from?
I don't know. They just must be percolating from the things that roll around in my swamp brain.
Oh, don't go there now. Okay. Do not go there right now. You stop. Behave yourself. Okay. Stop that. All right. People are gonna go, what are we talking about? No, you're not gonna. That was a pre-show conversation. Nada. Thank you. Black Beauty says it's totally disappointing to watch the January 6th postponement of justice.
So what do you think is going to happen?
I don't know, but I know this. It's not like they have a full 8 or 9 weeks left in the year. They go home right before Thanksgiving, and they don't come back until January 2nd.
Oh, right. I freaking forgot about that.
Yeah. So what are you postponing for?
Right. Because there's something going on that with the Merrick Garland thing, of course, Merrick garbage, that is not happening. And they thought, and then he backed off and started talking about special counsels. And I've told you guys, I'm not surprised about him. And the only thing that really surprises me is how deep is he? Like, I just imagine one day, like, Trump is president again and Merrick Garland is standing beside him, green with like horns and going, I actually feel like a lot of people have just like put their faith in somebody who's going to turn around. And
I was mad about that at first. And then I forgot who made the,
I can't deal with their soothsayers.
Somebody made a point,
Weissman,
and it clicked for me. Was that it was a black attorney, and it clicked for me because it was like, if he doesn't appoint a special counsel, the whatever conviction, if there is one, could get thrown out immediately, because Trump's attorneys could claim that Merrick Garland was acting politically, not.
His attorneys all have attorneys. It's going to be so tied up. And this man is not I don't know how long he intends on living, but if he lives, for a real long time, that dude is Beelzebub. That's just, I'm sorry, guys. I just don't have any faith in it at all.
So
None.
Aisha,
I'm done.
Aisha, just to confirm this, they leave just before Thanksgiving and don't come back till next year.
Right.
They can come back for like special meetings and things, but the calendar wise, no. Unless there's something else that the Congress is going to have to vote on, they will come back. But other than that, no, they're gone.
So 45 ain't gonna be appearing in front of he ain't
He's
gonna
not ever going to be indicted.
Anyway. He wasn't going to anyway.
No.
But the deadline for the documents is what bothers me more than anything. When someone doesn't turn, he thumbed his nose at them with like, yeah, I'm not doing this. And okay, you know what? You should have had the contempt of Congress papers ready. You knew he wasn't going to do it. Have those ready and pick him up. You can't make an example of Steve Bannon and then refuse to do this with Trump and Mark Meadows, Lindsey Graham, and all these other people. Just, bite the bullet already and serve these people.
They've only got Tish James out there stunting like she's going to do something, and the most she can get from him is money.
It's civil.
That's it. That's the fine slap on the wrist. It's nothing to him.
She's giving them a lot of evidence.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
And waiting for them to do something.
No.
I've lost all patience with it. I'm done with it.
Yeah.
Black Beauty says, despite mounds of evidence, no justice regarding January 6th. No. And I truly believe no justice is coming for 45 and company.
Yeah, there won't be.
Does anyone disagree with that statement from Black Beauty?
I don't disagree.
No. I don't disagree. And you know what? They don't even have the messaging on any of this, right? This fool talks about, I ran twice, I won twice. Okay, stop right there. And you said you're going to run again. Stop right there. If you won twice, you can't run a third time.
That's right.
Right.
We know you didn't win, but if you won twice, you can't run a third time. Right. How come no one has said this out in the ether and just shut him down? He'd have to come up with something else to say. It's like, what, did you not take U.S. History 1 in high school?
No.
No, we learned that back in like 5th grade.
Okay. Black Beauty also says, I also feel unless the current president hijacks democracy, then the Republican Party will make sure they stay in power forever.
Well, they've said that.
Yeah.
They've outright said that.
They're going to do it, and they will get in.
They will.
Like the guy who's
and even if they may not,
Wisconsin said, if I win, Republicans will always win elections.
See, the interesting thing is what they want to do is all the places where he has people, where he wants these new people to go in who are deniers, and he wants them to reverse the decision. And I believe that if they do that, they will go in and physically remove Joe Biden. And the Secret Service would have no problem going, okay, now we're back over here, because they've proven that they support Donald Trump. The fact is, our country was taken over long ago. These other people that we're dealing with in the Democratic side, they're just hanging on by their nails at this point.
They still haven't figured out who, or at least made an arrest. They might know who.
This is historic.
The bombs in the Democratic headquarters.
This is and they never will, because we have and clearly we don't have any. They're about as good as like Detective Shlomo, Rickenbacker down the road here, the Private Eye. That we have.
Inspector Gadget was better than
Gadget, because the fact that they can't, it really shows such a weakness in our country. And the other thing is, let's not forget when Hitler did come into power, and he did come back 10 years later, because it didn't happen overnight. But the same process is happening here in America. And it's just like, it may look like a slow gain, but they're making gains. They've gained ground, and more than Democrats can hold on to. So when you see that, There's too much
He
for us
said
to
that a
peel back.
long time ago. He
Yeah.
said this with his own mouth. I started this plan a long time ago.
Yeah.
And now I have it stacked just the way that I want.
And they've got people all freaked out with the culture wars. You're right. Things we really, okay, they were definitely things to pronouns, AEIOU, whatever, whoever. But in a way, it shouldn't have taken up the main notice of everything that was happening. And the media is in on this slow coup. This is a slow brew coup, y'all. It is slow brew cooing because that's what they're doing. So let's just make some other decisions with your finances and other options, because the scariest thing of all is that it's a global takeover of fascism. Yes. It is happening. It is not like when. It is. Yes. When Germany looks like the odd man out for putting people in jail for a Sig Heil, you know that you woke up and this is upside down. They have, your guy, Justin Trudeau, is hanging on by his nails too, Dr. Vibe. I mean, and granted, there are things he's not perfect at, but in holding on to certain sacred democracy points, Macron, this one and Biden and that one, they are rare dogs, honey, rare. And it will not be.
And, I think people forget that Trump started out as a Tea Partier.
Yes.
Do not forget that. He just hijacked the Tea Party movement and turned it into a bunch of wackadoos, organized them into a cult.
All right. So Black Beauty has a question. Can the current administration just go ahead and hijack democracy?
They don't have to do it.
And they don't have the support.
And they don't have the constitutional power. That's the other part of it too, is that, if Joe Biden can go and do this by executive order, however, whoever comes back behind him, just tear it up. That's it.
Yeah. Just like when he first got in, it was that little pen was going across the pages. Boy, do this.
Yeah, because remember, in order to undo all this, because of the way our system is set up, it would literally take an act of Congress. And Joe Biden would have to sign it into law. If Congress can't do it and do it fast enough, the only way he has to do it is by executive order.
Right. And we've got more than one Joe Manchin type of Democrat in our party. They haven't all been too cool for school either, but it's like dealing with our inflation at the moment. These are old models that they're trying to solve these problems with. They are old models that don't work. Are they even factoring in just how much money people are making on ad money?
That's right.
And why there are so many jobs that are available, because I don't have to go out and do a job, says Sally, because I can do an OnlyFans thing and make my and pay my bills. I don't have to be in your workplace little box anymore. So when they're all trying to formulate this whole thing, they're forgetting, and they're not even able to calculate these dollars, because that's a transparency that they don't have. That's why it's not really working, because you've got kids now who are like, McDonald's, when I can make content for TikTok and make more money an hour doing that than sitting there. That's a factor, which means that model that feds are using, it doesn't work. The same thing with the IRS coming hard on people right now, tallying up. How are you going to do that right now in the middle?
Right.
And also Joe Biden, why didn't the guy that Trump put in the IRS agency? Because on that note, when Ted Cruz the other day put out, let's get rid of the IRS, I was actually, I think you should, because these models are not, it's like having a bunch of computers that don't talk to each other anymore. They don't know what one is doing, which is why Trump was a genius in dismantling all of it and making none of it run, to the point we're putting in people who didn't know how it ran in the first place. And then all that information and knowledge goes away. Those onboardings that come later, what happens with those onboardings?
I really wish I was, I don't know, but
they don't exist.
To the extent of the real damage that Trump did, that the Biden administration is having to go back covertly and undo. That
Right.
We forget that we only see like maybe a tenth of the mess, which is bad. The other 9/10 is probably so bad it would just make everyone sick. I really wish we
for
knew.
Another 100 years. That's how it always goes.
Yeah.
Always 100 years later when you find out, and then everybody goes, oh, how could they have possibly
I know.
let that happen? Yeah.
But there was a sign. We should have known how deep, knee deep, like not just knee deep. He was only, okay. So we should have known when Joe won and the administrator was like, no, I'm not giving you any access to anything. Do you guys remember that?
I remember
that was a big thing.
They had to go to court.
This bitch was like holding it down. And that should have let us know right there. If he had gotten to that level, oh yeah, he had a fortress.
Yes.
And he still does.
Yes,
and
he
people
does.
are still answering to it. Because
There's
I wouldn't
a
be
reason
surprised
he
if
took
they're
papers
collecting
out of the White House.
and
There's
I
a
think they're
reason he took
collecting money on the
documents.
side. I think he's paying some of them on the side. I mean, Flynn the other day said that he was the second coming.
Mm-hmm.
Flynn said that he was a chosen one. It's back on that. So we got a big problem.
There's a whole church cult going around right now. Physical church, like the old tent revivals. You remember that?
Yes, I saw it.
Yes, and that's all they tout. It's nothing but the QAnon and the Trumpsters, and everything is who believes. The minister actually said, "Who believes that Trump is still president?" We all do. You know, it's like only one.
Here's the thing. Kyrie Irving got more sanctions for not apologizing than Trump did for retweeting that white power video.
I'm telling you, it's all sorts of.
Why does this man keep getting passes?
But here's the real question. If they are such believers of their Bible and they think that Jesus is coming back, right?
Yeah.
You know, there's a few prophecies that have to happen.
Oh, yeah.
So what part is Trump playing? Because who was the Antichrist? And who's the one who comes after? And then the 1,000-year thing. What for real? Like, which part is Trump?
No,
because there was no white knight savior who came along. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, the Antichrist had been given power by this evil thing, and the Antichrist comes in and everybody loves him, and it's peace. And it's just wonderful. They're not reading.
God. But doesn't the Antichrist try to fool people into thinking that they were sent from God?
No, how it slows in is there's one that comes in. It's a prophecy, and it is, really cool, right? But then the Antichrist comes in when there's just too much of everything coming. And so basically one would say that Trump is going to usher in the Antichrist. That's the only person he could be. He hasn't survived a head wound.
Yeah, all I keep thinking about is that time that he looked up at the sky and said, God put me here to do this.
But that's not enough for people if they claim that they're reading their Bibles, and people need to call them on it. Like, which timeline is he in? Because I don't see him in Revelations. Was he even prophesized about in the book of Daniel? But see, these people are, and what they're doing, granted, I have my own beliefs on the Bible, but even it's like, I can go toe to toe with your Bible, and we can go there if you want to, because I don't know who is in the Bible. Please tell me, what was he chosen to do? Because if you are so hell-bent on being a Christian, you should be rejoicing that the world is falling apart, because that means your time is soon. And you shouldn't be interfering in elections, and you shouldn't be all up in somebody else's business when you know it's God's business. He don't need you fighting his job for him.
There's a shirt I ordered.
That's the thing about
prophecy. I love shirts, and it actually says, I'm gonna have to give this to God, because if I do it, I'm going to jail.
Oh,
it's so true.
Yeah.
All right,
Crazy.
let's just catch up a little bit. Okay, so Black Beauty's got a number of comments saying this whole coup started out with gutting the Voting Rights Acts for starts and on and on. She also says the current administration would have to gut the current constitution as it's known. It can be done, and if not now by Dems, now the Republicans upcoming. Black Beauty says, surely to God, the current administration knows this. Also, she says, I mean, what the would possibly stop the current administration from just going all
Balls
out
out.
to control the power?
They don't have it in them.
No.
I don't think they have the support of everybody, to be honest.
That's that right there is the challenge. And you have so many people who love the Constitution as it is on the left side.
Right.
And that is the problem. Gutting the Constitution just wouldn't go over well, period. It wouldn't be popular. I think, we've amended it, but I think we've amended it as much as possible as we possibly could for something that's several hundred years old. We're in a new day and time. And when do we get to the point where we realize it's not working for us the way that it's written? Because that's the part I don't understand. Why would we think that anything written in
1776
would be relevant in 2022?
I know.
Go back and watch. I love Good Times. I go back and watch Good Times and realize how much stuff is so out of date just from the 70s. Okay.
Yeah.
And so we think that the Constitution will hold. The only reason it holds is because we've all agreed that we will allow it to. But there are some major changes. I mean, put it this way: if it was a perfect document, there wouldn't be all the amendments. Remember,
True.
These were white slaveholding men,
True.
Christian men, who wrote this for white Christian slaveholding men.
And they want that Constitution
Yes.
back. They want it sans amendments.
Yeah.
And working very hard and quick to get it.
Because remember, the original Constitution was written to keep those particular men in power.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
That they
All right.
deliberately excluded all the populations that they did not want to have power.
Okay, let's move to our next conversation topic. And one of the interesting electoral races coming up on Monday, Kathy Hochul in danger of losing the New York governor's race.
What did I say last year?
Yeah.
I said it last year. I said, she's not the one. She's not. It was a bad choice for Democrats in New York I have nothing against the woman, but she was not a strong candidate.
Right.
And now looking back at it and seeing that there's this Republican that is like this close to winning, you realize they got rid of Andrew Cuomo for a reason,
Right.
because he could have won easily.
That's
Totally.
right.
The election. They got him. And Democrats, what did they do? They forced him out like they did Al Franken. And guess what? We haven't heard boo from those women
No.
since.
Not
They didn't even start a parity
Nope.
for other women, which is why I can't understand that, because the reality is, where did they go? The one of them, I didn't think she was going to make it to the subway because she was so traumatized, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's right. So there you go. You put the scenario
Because
out.
he said she was good looking or something, damn.
Yeah.
Now we might lose.
Nowadays people can't. I mean, the way the world is structured right now. Anyway, if someone even gives you a compliment, I'm offended.
I
Your hair is
know.
pretty.
You're ugly anyway. I'm like, you're fugly. And then if you say
Right.
that, then so I don't even say anything to anybody anymore.
Yeah,
I'm
and
just
and
like, can you get me
remember-
a cup of coffee? I don't say please. I don't say thank you, because I don't know.
Right.
And remember the Remember, the last Republican governor was Pataki.
Yes.
Yeah.
And didn't he leave under some
Yes, he did.
So the black guy that was the lieutenant governor became the first black governor of New York.
New York, yeah.
And then our other
Patterson.
guy who was with a bunch of hookers, and then we have a president who liberally used hookers, and and they always go to undermine and state. What's her name? Kathy Hochul. She is way over her head. There's no way, and it's really sad because that New York is kind of shifting in weird ways. And I do believe that the reason we're seeing some media shifting, which we're going to talk about later, is basically based upon there's a climate change that's happening with the governorships and who's going to be negotiating for different things for those media outlets in New York. And things are changing, and they're not changing for people of color.
So Black Beauty is saying, well, this is the problem. Our Democrat goodwill and lack of just turning things. Yeah, turning is going to cause us to lose democracy. So sad. Question, how much of a blow would it be to the Democratic Party if they lost the governor's race in New York?
Big. That's one of the biggest, states.
That's like,
that's a lot. That is very big. Remember, New York is one of those states also that contributes a lot of money, puts in a lot of money
into these hillbilly towns,
and all these other southern red states,
into those crime-ridden red states, because the most crime that's going on is in the crime-ridden red states, which all Democrats need to start saying.
Yes.
Red states have the most crime. The highest ratings of crime is in red states. Why? Because all the money that they sponge off of us, your senators and governors suck up food and heat and make sure that their constituents are starving to death.
And I just want to say this. Crime was at a 50-year low by Obama's last year in office. Mm-hmm. It went back up twofold in 2017 by June. Who was president then?
Trump.
So Black Beauty saying, I'm feeling so defeated. I mean, I voted, mailed my ballot today, but for what? Especially if I have to sit back and watch these Republicans running things from now till Jesus comes back.
Well, Black Beauty, I feel the same way as you do. I have a really hard time right now with voting, because sometimes I really feel defeated in the fact, like, does it really matter or not? But the fact of the matter is it does. But this is what the Republican Party wants from us. They want to continue throwing these rocks and stones and big bombs at us so that we will no longer want to or desire to go and vote. Then they have complete full control. It is up to us to still continue to fight. There's been too much of a fight on our part as people of color to be able to stand in these lines and put in our votes. We must pick up the banner and continue. Even though it seems like it's dark sometimes, you cannot just lay it down. And not only that, you must instill in your children that this is an important fact. Start them early. I remember my mother taking me every time she went to vote, so that when it was my turn, I understood the responsibility. So no matter how bleak it looks, I encourage you to not feel that way. And then find something that you can do in your community. And I don't care if it's just something as simple as going to the homeless shelter to feed someone that day. You have to start within your own heart and your own home to make the changes. And don't forget, the judges and stuff matter. Now people are understanding how important it is to vote on that level. So from my heart to yours, I feel you all the way, sister, but don't put the baton down.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I do too.
All right. Let's move forward with our next conversation piece. He's back. Benjamin Netanyahu is back in leadership in Israel. Benji's back.
I
don't understand how this happened.
I'll tell you how it happened. I want to say something about it because I was talking to a girlfriend of mine who was a little bit offended by the way I was like, oh my God, these people, is like, it says a lot about the people who voted for him. But she was like, you can't just blanket the whole country, because there's so many people in Israel who are opening up things and want things to change between their relationships with the Palestinians. And they've been really trying to bridge these gaps and get rid of all of these old men. And that's on both sides, as far as I'm concerned. They've all been more of a liability than anything. And but in the middle of our talking, I said, no, I'm not talking about the people of Israel. Like everybody said, here's the deal.
Right.
Those were Americans who voted for that. And the reason I say that is because they have dual citizenship. They're voting from far away. They voted Netanyahu back in. That's the Koch brothers. That's all of them. That's the Mercer family. That's all of them creating their bullshit. The reality is that I'm not saying there weren't people there who were trying to bring him back, but after years and years that really no one that I knew who lives in Israel didn't want him back.
Right.
That's a lot
He
of
was
manipulation
unpopular around
and a lot of money.
There
was American money that went in there. I'm telling you, American money, American Jewish people who support that and are involved. They were the Kushners, that whole element. That's what that was about. And if they did any more investigation, they'd probably find that, because that it just isn't making sense. It's not tracking with all the last couple of years of conversations and articles and everything, the progress, the schools with the kids in sharing music schools together, things happening in those regions. Something's not tracking. And they resurrected him.
Well, it's ridiculous. But at the same point, it's a cautionary tale, because remember, Netanyahu isn't he like on trial for something?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And
yes.
We have a pseudo politician who should be on trial for stuff and has many crimes against him, who wants to run again.
Yeah.
So basically, the world is being run by a bunch of criminals.
Yes.
Well, yeah. If I understand correctly, and I may be wrong with this, part of him coming back in is that they're going to push back or change or take away the charges that have been put against him.
Right. So you think Trump didn't learn from that?
His corruption charges.
Look, he saw that, and the first thing he says, I'm running for president.
Yeah.
So definitely.
And he's another dictator, let's be honest, because he's the longest serving PM. It's like, first thing, they need to start voting for some kind of term limits, because ever since I was a little kid, right? Not even, but pretty much.
Yeah, I really think there is some very interesting, questionable practices going on there. And correct me if I'm wrong. Did Israel help 45 in his? Did this do some spy stuff or something like that for his last campaign?
Of course they did.
Yeah, and that was done at the hands of Kushner, Jared Kushner, because of his father's connection.
Okay. I was wondering, saying
because of his
godfather is Netanyahu. His godfather is Netanyahu.
Who's godfather?
Kushner. Look it up. I'm convinced. Jared Kushner's godfather is Netanyahu.
What? I had no idea about that. So
it makes it all the more evil.
The lineup. Yeah, it's lining up. It's lining up. So, oh my gosh. Had no idea about that. Had no idea. That adds another layer to the pancakes. Let's just put it that way. Layer to the pancakes. All right.
When Netanyahu slept at the Kushners, Netanyahu has been a long friend of the Kushners, and particularly Jared's dad, Charles Kushner, a major donor to pro-Israel and Jewish causes. Mm-hmm. So it might as well
trying to hook Trump up with a hotel in Israel.
All right. Okay. All right. Makes sense. So a few things, just catching up.
Here's the thing. Jared Kushner, had harsh words to say about the Israeli ambassador. White House advisor Jared Kushner told his Middle East envoy that Israel's ambassador to the U.S., Ron Dermer, could go if he disagreed with a proposal deal involving then Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. So, over plans to normalize relationships with Arab countries. So, you know, the band is getting back together. Let's just say in a big way. Now they got an orchestra.
Yeah,
they're doing a world tour.
World tour this time, and they ain't gonna miss this time.
Right. Okay.
It is so important that we vote, and I don't even know, because they got so seriously that, I mean, God bless us all, because it's bad. Because what we think, how it looks, and what they say, we don't know. And I don't even know if it's real. It's so fucked up here.
Yep. And I'm really tired of the stories. I mean, my mother-in-law were sitting and talking the other day, and how everything that we saw on the news, because I pretty much stopped watching it, but you know, she's old school, she still watches it. And so I was sitting with her, and she was like, I'm so sick of every show being, well, what if? Well, what if this happens? And what if this happens? She said, what the hell? Who cares what if? I want to know what's real. Like, and that's all everything is now, is what if this? And I'm over it. I'm over it. I don't want any more what ifs.
They're the most what if-ing people I ever heard lately on TV. You're right. It's like, come on.
Yep. Nothing.
That's not how winners think. What if?
The quality of journalism has gone down significantly.
We're going to get to that in just a moment. We're just going to get that in just a moment. So just to catch up, Black Beauty wanted to thank you for that. That was a statement that LaLa made about the importance to voting.
LaLa, yes.
And then she also said church money, and lots of American churchmen. He said, shake my head, I guess. And also saying American churches consistently give a percentage of donations for Israel.
Yeah.
So as we go on. So we were talking about media. MSNBC and NBC firing Zerlina Maxwell, Shepard Smith, Tiffany Cross, and cancellation of, hope I get this name, Ayman
Moyheldin.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Glad you said that. So
he still has a job on the weekends, but he had a daily show on their streaming, and they got rid of that. It's like, this is like, what is MSNBC and NBC doing? Just taking a bullet to the head.
And CNN, they're actually
here's the thing.
changing.
They're trying to compete with CNN.
Yeah.
CNN just made this decision to overhaul everything and like go right and call it fair and balanced. And you know, I'm sorry.
So they don't want our business, basically. They don't, because they're creating, they're giving us nothing here.
Yeah, and then to turn around and say, "Oh, I think that, you know, do Democrats have a problem?" Yeah, it's the media. Hello, because you're squeezing our voices out because these people over here are so loud and bombastic and get ratings, and it's disgusting. And the scary part is, MSNBC has 2 Black people with shows. Period.
And Joy Reid is supposed to be gone by the end of the year. They say she's supposed to be gone, that they didn't renew her contract.
Yeah, she's got to watch her back. And then Jonathan Capehart does a Sunday show. But the firing of Tiffany Cross yesterday, just abruptly, was
that was a shocker.
And it was a Latino man who's fired her, so you can understand it goes back.
But remember, the order came down from the head, who is a Black woman, and the reason why was because
she's tap dancing the woman.
Yeah, but I put together what Tiffany said last week and realized who she pissed off. She pissed off white women, and a lot of Tucker's people sat there and called MSNBC, a channel they don't watch, and complained about her, and that woman buck danced when it came to firing Tiffany, because
she did buck dance.
Tiffany said white women voting against abortion rights is like roaches voting for Raid.
Yes, she did. I thought it was brilliant.
I thought it was brilliant too.
Yeah,
because
where's the lie?
I know.
Yeah, it makes sense. Why would
I might even just go out and tweet that today?
Oh, now listen, Eliana, be right after you, Joe. What?
I know.
Oh, look. Here's the thing: where are people going to hear an opposing viewpoint to the right wing? I get so mad too because journalists worry about offending people on the right who are blatantly offensive. Yes. These people sat and laughed at an 82-year-old man getting bashed in the head with a hammer. You know what you do? You don't amplify it. You don't turn the volume up. You shut it down, shut it off, and say, we have standards here. We're not going to play that video. We're not going to talk about that. We're gone. That's one reason why I appreciate Nicole Wallace's show on MSNBC, because she'll be like, I'm not showing that video. Rachel Maddow, I don't show videos of Trump at all. But
that's true.
But I have seen other people say far worse. They make the people of color apologize for things. Like there's something this morning they made. They got in Ali Velsh's ear, and he had to go and apologize for this. But Tucker never has to apologize.
No.
Laura Ingraham never apologizes. Sean Hannity never apologizes. And they say far worse things that are not just offensive. They're downright racist. They're sexist. They're homophobic. They're anti-Semitic. And
every day
they pay no price. Instead, they make more money.
That's right.
True.
And Shepard Smith, that's the one that got me, was they fired Shepard Smith from CNBC because remember they hired him from Fox.
That's right.
Then they shut him down. But remember, NBC is the same network that gave that raving racist Megyn Kelly a job after she'd said a whole bunch of racist stuff on Fox, and only left Fox because of the sexual harassment stuff. Otherwise, she would have stayed, and then fired her because she was a racist.
Right.
Well, you hired a racist. What did you expect?
Right.
Aisha, you were saying a few minutes ago about the state of news journalism. Your thoughts? Anyone else that wants to chime in?
Well, as one, it's kind of like, don't want to admit to it, because I have gotten very selective about what I will and will not write about these days, in the last year, really, because I'd rather not publish anything than to have to go with the flow. And the flow right now is to placate people that you are afraid will dox you online. And so you write semi-favorable things about them because you're afraid of Donald Trump. Well, Donald Trump's not on, right for now, he's not on Twitter anymore, but where's he going to go scream in the ether of Truth Social that only, doesn't even have 1 million people? So I don't understand what journalists are afraid of. Journalism takes bravery. It takes courage to tell the truth. And we have a bunch of cowards in the media.
Okay, so I just want to go further. Is it cowards or the people, I guess, the news directors? Or
we're starting to have censorship. And what's really bad is we're also starting to see it slowly climb to where maybe in about 10 or 15 years, it could be like Mexico, where journalists, or Malta, or different places across the world. And I think that Saudi Arabia put out the notice to many journalists. I think that what happened to Jamal Khashoggi was a warning to any journalist. And I think it was basically saying, get you and whoever you are. And I think that we now know that our governments can't protect us. We have a DOJ that can't even enforce the laws properly. We have an FBI that, was broken apart and shredded, went through the shredder. We have Secret Service that went through the shredder. We have a postal system because the Secret Service and the postal system are kind of together. I don't know if many people know that. Everything has been dismantled. So it used to be that you could be the Elliot Ness of the world if you were a DA or a prosecutor or something. But these days, I mean, you got to go and hire your own like security. It's like living in South Africa. They have basically turned America into like South Africa is. Beautiful place, but a logistic and political.
But the other problem too with media is that we no longer have independent journalism at the forefront. Remember, independent journalism, these newspapers and TV stations and everything used to be run locally. Now they're all corporate owned.
Yeah.
And so it's about the money at this point and not the truth or reporting.
But everything is now down to money. There is nothing outside of what can you put in my pocket.
And the arguments that they're having, like even with the Twitter thing, the people are failing to realize this is not the argument for the regular average people. This is about rich people flexing up against other rich people. That's all this stuff is. So there are some people you got to sit back and go, this battle is not mine. And I sound like to be in the middle of it going, I don't know why I have to pay $8 now. It's like, I am so rich. I have a platform and I want people to pay $8. And then that sends messages to Facebook, which is like, and they're looking at their Instagram. That sends off things with TikTok in China. I mean, that game, he just took the game and he took it somewhere else off the table while everybody else were all scrambling around talking about how we can't pay for $8. And
again, he's going to have to fix whatever he is doing because other rich people, corporations are starting to pull back their advertising dollars.
For now. But you know what? The thing about advertisers, let's not hold our breath. We saw what they did with Uvalde. They don't care. Next week they'll be selling children's. They'll be sending children's like shoes again.
Volkswagen, L'Oreal, American Airlines, all starting to pull, and then
they'll be back.
Going off with Volkswagen because Volkswagen's like, we're pulling our money, and we suggest other companies do the same. They're like, and who did that? You would think that would have unnerved Elon. It didn't bother him. You know who it bothered? It bothered the MAGA people who are out here boycott Volkswagen. Okay, that was like,
but they can't
their own Keurigs.
This is the problem with them. It's the arguments and the battleground is for billionaires and rich people only. It's not this. It's past. It's the politics of like, well, I run a country now. What do you own? That's the game. That is it. That's why stupid. Like even like at least we may say whatever we want about Kanye, but he knows what game's being played. And that's exactly what this game is. You have a platform, I'm going to get a platform. We can call him as crazy as a $2, gin fizz or whatever it is. I'm saying he knows the game that's being played at the dice board. He knows what we're doing. And he knows it has absolutely nothing to do with average human beings.
Toy for him. It's like buying a jet.
Exactly.
It's like,
but he's seeing how far he can take this. Honestly, he doesn't.
He's no different. It's no different than when we had those guys who wanted to own their own airplane lines. Like we had Richard Branson and we had this one and that. Every generation seems to produce a more, billionaire of what they want to own. They all want to go to Mars. They all want to do this. They all want a wife that kind of looks like, she's Kim Kardashian. That's it, and they do because that sort of Jeff Bezos, I mean, these people don't care. So when you say Amazon,
that's it.
And they have too much power because, Elizabeth Warren warned about all of this.
Yes,
and it's because our government was so greedy and didn't get in the middle and start busting up all of these. We're doing a startup now. We're going to, and it was like, oh, but that's my son. Oh, okay. My dad's JV Diamond and I'm starting this. And I went to Harvard and I went to Yale. All that. This is so why Trump can speak out of both sides of his mouth and talk. Because the game is to diss each other. who are at the
You know what,
top.
though? It's funny that you bring Trump into this, and we're talking about journalism, because but well, you all know I got blocked from New York Post commenting on it, but he used to call New York Post
And
some of
pretend.
these other people and pretend he was someone else. You all didn't fact check. That's like journalism 101.
But that's something right out of a Berkeley movie. Like, well, hello there. How you doing, sir? I got a nice act over here. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's so funny, but in a really weird way, Prince did some crazy stuff like in those days. It's called going rogue to get what you want. And if you think, Geminis tend to think a lot like that. I don't know what it is about them. They just do. They're like, I'm going to go street on everybody. I'm going to change this game. I'm going to try to get in there. And also, Trump manipulated those papers even during his divorces. So he knew what their weaknesses were. And it was always money or giving somebody some more dirt on somebody else would totally make another paper. So he had a lot of friends and they owe him a lot of favors.
Right. That's why he's the reason why people think he's rich. Remember, he used to call all these media places and say that as somebody else saying that he had more money than he did. So the narrative became that Trump is like one of the richest men in America, when the truth is that now he's one of the most in debt men.
I think when he had all those Jacksons staying at his hotels and stuff, I think he bugged their rooms. I think he leaked a lot of stories on them. I think that a lot of that stuff, and they thought, with LaToya and her dad, I think that he was partly responsible, and I think he got his cut on things too. Because I don't think anybody's ever a friend to that man. They were. You have to be like I said, you couldn't be just any regular person trying to live in any of his buildings. No, you had to have something that he thought was valuable.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, I think we've
go that way.
Yeah, I think we called it a conversation today. We went all around the place today as per usual, and another epic conversation by the ladies.
Are we done? Oh, I didn't know.
Yes,
I know that was
quick. One last thing I did want to say, Jill. Are you surprised with the Brazil election?
I'm very happy about the Brazilian election.
I
was surprised. But I think that, oh my God, I was like, thank God they're not going to mow down the Amazon and put a freeway there. But let's be very clear. The more dictatory fascism that goes, Lula has a very tough road because it was still too close for comfort, guys. All of this is still too close for comfort, because what's happening is that people are starting to go, well, I don't know if it's really all that bad.
And Dude still hasn't conceded, so he pulled a page right out.
Yes, he did.
That's a fashionable thing to do. You don't concede.
You know what? If you don't concede,
change the election.
Move here.
That's
for real.
That's
I'd
just
be
a
like,
courtesy.
Let's just stop talking about it. I need you to tell me good luck and be out by 3, or we gonna have we gonna go.
You'll catch these.
We'll be up there. You'll catch these.
Exactly.
That's the way it's got to be, Dr. Vibe.
My
I'm sorry.
Goodness. Okay. We better finish. We better finish. It's getting out of control here. So before we finish
up, slow brew coup. I said that today. I was like, slow brew coup is happening.
Brian Delaney, hey, good to see you again. Brian, news isn't about the message anymore. It's formulated to get an addictive reaction of people, to get people hooked. News is a means to honestly inform is scarce.
That's right.
Exactly.
And yes, Brian, you did.
That's why these people, that's why you see all these people talking about, I watch Fox News all day. You're not watching.
That's the point. You're not watching things that you agree with. That's the thing. You're not gonna, if you're a Fox, you're not gonna watch CNN,
right? Or MSNBC, and I don't know why those networks think that those people will. It's like Democrats thinking that they can sway some Republicans to vote for them.
Right. It's the illiteracy for me in America that I'm astounded. I'm like, I had no idea there were that many dumb people here, and I'm just gonna say it. I had no idea. They don't even try. No. They don't even try.
Well, Brian says he came in late. Hope we had a good time. We always do. We always have a
Yes.
good time. So definitely catch the replay. And just everyone, make sure wherever you're watching this, make sure you subscribe and get notifications. Sign up for notifications. Black Beauty says this has been an awesome conversation. Well, thank you very much. You helped make it an awesome conversation. So as always, before we leave, we get the ladies to give their contact information. First off, in another state now. She's in another state now.
Yes.
LaLa, go ahead.
Happy. We're out of Jurassic Park, and you can find me at Realty
Out
Gotti
of
everywhere.
Jurassic Park. I love that. Out of Jurassic Park. Next up, Jill Jones.
It's cold. It has a juice. It has a juice. I wouldn't think of a more beautiful thing. It's cold.
Oh my gosh.
I know, guys.
I'm still not going to go listen to that song. How can people touch base with you?
Jill D. Jones, or you're going to just see me on TikTok going, it's cold.
Oh, God.
I don't know. I can't get it out of my head. I got to like go listen to something else. It really is catchy, guys.
All right. Jill Jones recommendation.
Yes.
Aisha K. Staggers.
You can get me at Aisha Staggers on Twitter sometimes.
Sometimes. All right.
Sometimes.
Okay. No problem. And myself, you can get a hold of me at different places. The Dr. Vibe Show website, email dr@thedrvibeshow.com, YouTube and Facebook, The Dr. Vibe Show, Twitter at drvibeshow, and Instagram at The Dr. Vibe Show, drvibeshow.com. You can catch replays of this great conversation on my website and also Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, The Dr. Vibe Show. That's how you can catch replays. So I think we are about done. This has been a full and very speedy conversation. So two last things. If you would like to promote your business and service or your service on the show, give us a holler. Touch base with me at dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. And as always, live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. I don't know. We may be on Tuesday night, midterm election. I got asked to leave after we finish. You want to come on Tuesday? I don't know if Jill's going to walk off like she did the last time we did the political thing, though. So I don't know about that. All right. So we'll see you. That's why I subscribe. You get notified of what we're up to. Be well. Keep the faith.
Thank you.